What's up, fight fans? My name is Angelo. Welcome back to Gentleman MMA. So last week I made a video about the 155-pound division, and in that video I was talking about potential matchups. And the matchup one of the matchups I was talking about was Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. So on this video, I'm gonna talk about that matchup in particular. I'm gonna break down that fight, and I'm gonna give my prediction on who I think will win that fight. And I'm just gonna give my opinions on that fight because it's a good fight, and I think that's the fight that's gonna happen next. But before we get into this video, hit like and subscribe to the channel because I post content like this every single week. Last week I made a video about the 155-pound division, and one of the matchups I was talking about was Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev, and I started thinking about that potential matchup, and that matchup is intriguing because you have Islam Makhachev, who's a dominant fighter. He's on the winning streak, going up against Charles Oliveira, who seems unstoppable right now. He just came off a win against Justin Gaethje. He is not the champion currently. Well, technically he is not the champion, but he is the #1 contender. But all us fight fans know he's the champion. So Charles Oliveira is a beast. So is Islam Makhachev. This fight kind of reminds me of Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson. We all know that fight was supposed to happen like 3, 4, 5 times, but it never happened. We never got the matchup we wanted to see. It's the ultimate grappler versus grappler, the jiu-jitsu guy versus the wrestler, and it's an intriguing fight. Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev is interesting because you have Islam Makhachev, who is a grappler. He's gonna pressure you, and then he's gonna take you down, and he's just gonna maul you. It's just that Dagestan style, similar to Khabib. Islam Makhachev is good at striking, but the reason why he's good at striking is because his ground game is so good. So the people that he fights against, they're anticipating getting taken down, so they can't really commit with their punches. So like let's say like for example, Khabib, when he fought Conor McGregor was so worried about getting taken down that when he was trying to box and strike, he wasn't as effective, because if he makes one mistake, if he overextends on a punch, he's gonna get taken down, and that's where he was most vulnerable. So when people fight Islam Makhachev, that's what they're thinking about. They're so worried about getting taken down, and they don't want to get taken down by Islam Makhachev because he is just so good on the ground. He's good at holding people down and just ground and pound. And then the people who are on the bottom are so worried and stressed about the ground and pound that they make mistakes, and that's how he gets his submissions. So that's the way he fights. It's exciting. He's good at striking. But also you have Charles Oliveira, who is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He is a beast on the ground. He is not afraid to be in those positions, and on top of that, he's a great striker. So when people talk about this potential matchup, they think that it's gonna be, you think that it's gonna be a grappler versus grappler, that they're both gonna try to wrestle each other. But in my opinion, I think it's gonna be a striking matchup. It's gonna come down to who's the better striker, and I believe that Charles Oliveira will have the advantage in that if that were to happen, because they're both, it's like in the UFC, when you have two high-level grapplers, that pretty much just cancels each other out, because they're not going to try to grapple each other, because if they're trying to grapple with each other, they're both evenly matched. They're just going to waste energy. So they're just going to be like, what's the point of grappling? Let's see who's the better striker. So that's what happened with Kamaru Usman and Kobe Covington. They're both high-level wrestlers, and they both knew that. So going into the fight, they just didn't even attempt taking each other down the first time, and it just came down to who was the better striker. And then Gilbert Burns versus Khamzat Chimaev was the same thing. Both grapplers. Gilbert Burns, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Khamzat Chimaev, the wrestler. And they both knew they were both grapplers. Every time that Khamzat tried to wrestle Gilbert, he was very worried about Gilbert Burns' ground game, because Gilbert Burns is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's good on his back. He can submit anybody at any time. So going into so Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira is going to be the same situation. They're both one's a jiu-jitsu guy, one's a wrestler. So I think they're going to come into the fight. I think Islam Makhachev is going to see, this is the part where it's intriguing. Is like, will Islam Makhachev take Charles Oliveira down? Because it's going to come down to positioning. So if Islam Makhachev can wrestle him and just put all that pressure on him and try to win the positioning battle, he could win. But it's like he has to be so perfect at it. And I'm not saying Islam Makhachev is a bad wrestler, because he could for sure do that. Like, he could just dominate the fight. But I don't think he wants to play that game, because if he makes one tiny mistake on the ground, Charles Oliveira can capitalize, and Charles Oliveira isn't worried about getting taken down. So he can fight. He can keep when they're both standing, Charles Oliveira is gonna try to keep the fight on the feet, and he's comfortable with, like, he's willing to take those risks and overcommit on a punch and then get taken down, because he's so comfortable being in that position, and he can submit anybody from that position. So I think this fight's gonna, when they make that fight happen, I think it's gonna come down to a striking match. And as much as I love Islam Makhachev and his style of fighting, I think Charles Oliveira would have the slight advantage, and I think Charles Oliveira would win that fight. And I think it's gonna come down to his ability to stay on the feet. He's gonna use his elbows, his clinch. And he's powerful too. Like, he's so technical when he's striking. He's so technical. He keeps a high guard at all times, and when he punches, it's straight from A to B, A to B, and that's what makes him dangerous. And like I said, on top of that, he's not worried about getting taken down, because if he gets taken down, he might even have the advantage when he gets taken down, because he has more ways of submitting people. But I'm very curious to see how that fight will happen. It's going to be a technical fight. It's going to come down to positioning. When it comes to wrestling, it's going to come down to striking. But if Islam can bet, like, if he can, I don't know. It's going to be a good fight. That's what I like about this. That's what I like about the sport, is these styles are so intriguing. Like, they're both 50-50. Like, it's like a coin toss. Who like, it really is a coin toss. Who's gonna win? But that fight's not official yet. I'm just talking about the fight because it's an intriguing fight, and when it happens, I'll give a prediction video, like a full prediction video. But for now, I'm just giving my opinions on that. Right now, I think Charles Oliveira will win, but if I make another video down the road, my prediction might change. But that's where I'm at right now, and that's what I think of that fight if it were to happen. So that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below who you guys think would win that fight if they were to fight. And yeah, that's it for this video. So I'll see you guys in the next video.